Hey guys, today I want to take some time to show you how I made this planer cart. The reason I wanted to make it is for storage and mobility. I need to be able to take something in and out of the shop. Let's get to work. In day one, the first thing I had to do was to break down all the 3/4 ply I had, which was measured at 4 feet by 4 feet. I'd be cutting it in half, which is going to make the measurement out to 24 inches by 4 feet. Now this measurement is going to be necessary for my first cut, which is going to be for the tops. And also breaking down the wood like this is just going to make it easier for me to work with and to move around. After breaking down the larger pieces of plywood, I moved forward with making the rest of my cuts for the main structure of my cart. Starting with the tops, which are 24 inches by 36 inches. I'll cut 2 of these out, then I'm going to end up stacking on top of each other and gluing up, just to make a really solid top surface. After finishing the cross cuts for the top panels, I then move over to the side panels, which are cross cut at 30 inches. To finish up the rest of my cross cuts, all I had to do was trim up this last piece, which was for my bottom, which is cut out at 24 inches by 24 inches. And then the last piece I'm cutting right here is for my divider piece for the drawers. To attach the sides to the top and bottom, what I did was use the Kreg mini jig. Now, full disclosure, this is not a sponsored project. I just got this because I thought it would streamline the whole process, and boy was I right. It was really easy to use this thing. Just clamp it on there, drill the 2 holes and move it down and repeat. Also, what comes with the Kreg jig set is the special screws that you need for the pocket holes. Right here you see me installing one of the side panels to the bottom. Next, to attach the sides to the top, I made a small little jig just to keep the space equal from the bottom to the top. Also, this would give me a midpoint to work with to get equal spacing on the sides, which is like a 6-inch overhang. To attach the divider in the middle, what I did was I cut some thin plywood strips which would hold it for me at the perfect measurement in the middle. That way I could drill it in. This was really efficient, and I suggest it to anyone who's doing this type of build. So once I got to this point, I decided it was time to move it to the ground and attach the wheels to it. I don't have an assembly table yet, and I hate working on my table saw because I don't want to scratch it. So anytime I could get the project to the floor, I do it immediately. So to attach the casters to the bottom, all I did was find some wooden bolts I had lying around and attached them by hand because I didn't want to strip them. After that, I decided it was a good time to do the glue up because it's the end of day 1 and I want this to sit overnight and be able to dry. And 2, I just like the glue up. It's one of my favorite parts. So once I got it all situated and lined up where I wanted it, I would start clamping it down, and I clamped it down with every single clamp I had, which is not enough clamps. So I made do and also used some brad nails, a few brad nails, well, a lot of brad nails. In day 2, after I removed the clamps, I measured where I wanted to put the planer. And basically it's going to be dead center with 12 inches of free space on both sides. That way in the future I could build out blocks that's going to reduce snipe, on all of my projects. I mounted the planer with just 4 screws, that way if I need to take it off for any reason, I can still do that. After mounting the planer, I realized that I forgot to cut out my back panel when I was cutting in the very beginning, so I went back and I cut it out. So as I do the gluing and mounting for the back panel, you probably see the drawer sliders in the back, and I installed these previously but I lost the footage, but maybe in the future I'll be able to get that on a different project. So in the beginning of day 3, I started the drawer assembly process. I cut everything out, I sanded it, and then I got to this point here, which is basically putting them together. I just put it together kind of a simple, quick and easy way, just brad nails and glue. This isn't going to hold an extreme amount of weight, but it's going to do the trick. So for the handles of the drawer, basically I just made some cutouts, just of random angles, and then I copied it over to the other face and I cut them out with my jigsaw. Now if you have a bandsaw, I would totally use that. I don't have one, so I'm using the jigsaw, but I had to go back and do a lot of cleanup with sanding just to make all the edges a lot more smoother to the touch. So when I was installing the drawers to the drawer sliders, what I realized that was really important is A, not having the faces on the front of the drawers just because it's much harder to work with, and 2 is spacers. The spacers that I used was basically just like a 1/8 inch strip. You could see it right there, it's held down by tape. The spacers are really important because it keeps all of the spaces in between the drawers and the edges all even, and it keeps the drawers from knocking into each other or hitting the sides. Once you have your drawers attached to the sliders, you want to make sure they work correctly, slide them around, make sure they're not hitting anything, make sure there's not any tension, because if there is, this is your last chance to try to fix it. So after you're done attaching the drawers to the drawer sliders and you have them the way you wanted, the next part that I did was attach the face. So I put the face directly on top, and then I would kind of space it out and clamp it down. For what it's worth, I had a lot of fun making this project, and for anyone who's looking to do a quick weekend project like this, I totally recommend it. It added a lot more storage and mobility to my shop. Thanks for watching, guys.